Pescama ish Michelle Lindsey Brishin. Kia ora ko Lindsey Brishin toko ingoa. Hi everyone, it's Lindsey here. Welcome to Time to Thrive Through Redundancy, How to Bounce Forward. Today I'm going to talk to you about social resilience and how you can rebuild your confidence through social resilience. I'm going to cover three things. Firstly, well, what exactly is social resilience? Secondly, why it's important. And lastly, I'll give you three tips on how to rebuild your confidence by being more socially resilient. So I'm going to kick off. I'm going to kind of geek out to start with. I've got two really interesting facts I want to share with you. The first one is people who have higher levels of social resilience are 40% more likely to be able to navigate redundancy with minimal negative impact on their mental health or well-being versus those who have lower levels of social resilience. Second geeky fact is people who are involved in a group and can work together and have different experiences and skill sets are more likely to be able to navigate and successfully get through challenges and problems. So there's the case for social resilience, but what does it actually mean? And I'm sure you're probably sitting there going, well, I'm facing redundancy. The last thing I want to go out is be social. And I get it. When I faced three redundancies, the last thing I wanted to do was put a smile on my dial, go out, be bothered with small talk, make small conversation. I just didn't feel like it. I didn't have the energy. And more importantly, the last thing I wanted people to feel was pity. That was my biggest fear. I didn't want people to feel sorry for me. I didn't want to feel like I was the victim or worse, that I had failed. So let's cut through that right now. What is social resilience really about? So for some of you, you might say friendships, hugs, someone who's a good listener. All of those are great, but they are sympathy. They're not actually social resilience. Social resilience is about empathy. And empathy is a word that a lot, it's a bit like strategy, it's bandied around a lot. But what it actually means is that you really kind of step into somebody's shoes and you listen to them attentively. And most importantly, together you look at, well, how are we going to tackle this challenge? I want to talk to you about busting some myths about what social resilience is and what it isn't. So, firstly, social resilience isn't about going solo, toughing it out on your own and trying to balance all the balls to get everything sorted. It's not. Social resilience is about having or finding your tribe or your inner circle or whatever you want to call it, but a group of people that you know are rooting for you and will lift you up when you're just really feeling like rubbish. Secondly, social resilience isn't about ignoring the elephant in the room and pretending that everything's okay and it'll all be fine. Social resilience is about facing the reality and being honest about it and acknowledging where you're at and knowing that there is an issue and not just kind of burying your head in the sand. Social resilience is also about not being stuck in the mud. And there's a great saying about new problems can't be solved with the same mindset. And I do actually really believe that because sometimes problems arise that you've just never encountered before. So if you're facing redundancy for the first time, this is a new challenge for you. And how you normally think, or if you've not experienced it before, trying to solve it can become really, really challenging and make you anxious. So social resilience is about getting crafty with problem solving. It's about finding new ways to look at the problem. And you might not be able to do that on your own because what I've found is the richness of people who come at a problem with a different lens or they look at it with a different set of glasses, if you like. And so they have different skills and different experiences. And so together, like that geeky fact I told you at the beginning about people with different interests being able to tackle a problem together as a group, that's what social resilience is about. And then the last one is social resilience is not about waiting for a miracle, waiting for somebody to swoop in and save the day. I think we all know that that's not a reality, but sometimes we do need to say to ourselves that it's not going to be someone else who's going to save me. I'm going to have to save myself. So social resilience is about rolling with the punches. It's about knowing that you're the one who's going to have to get through this. It doesn't mean that you're alone going through it, but it does mean that you have to lead the charge to get through it. So those are four things about what social resilience is and what it isn't. So let's now talk about, well, what are the benefits? Why do I bother? I'm not feeling social. I'm not feeling resilient. So why would I be social resilient? How can it help rebuild my confidence? So here are four benefits for being social resilient, being in that group of people. Here's the first one. It gives you a sense of belonging and validation. So if you're social resilient, you actually feel less alone. And that's really important. It's a great buffer for stress, it's a great buffer for anxiety because you don't actually feel that you're on your own in facing the problem. The second benefit of being socially resilient is a favorite expression that my mum has, which is a problem shared is a problem halved. And that's true. So it's about finding the people that you can actually be real with and share the real problems with so that you actually feel that they've got your back. And that really kind of reduces the strain. It also reduces all the noise. So you know what I mean when you've got a problem, it's rattling around in your head, you don't want to tell anyone about it. Or get into the intricacies of it. And it becomes really noisy because you've got lots of questions going on. There's lots of things you don't know. And so it becomes really noisy in your head. When you trust people enough to share that problem with and all the things that are going on in your head, you do feel lighter. You might not have solved all the problem yet, but you certainly have shared it with somebody and know that someone else understands where you're at. When you're socially resilient, you're also in supportive relationships, and those help you feel stable and more comfortable. And that is important because in a redundancy situation, when you've got a lot of swirl going on, there's lots of changes going on in your external environment, like the timeline and EOI and when's the final consultation document coming, etc. And so that world feels really kind of like sloppy cement. And so when you have sloppy cement in your life and you don't have anything kind of to grab onto or hold you still, then that becomes really problematic for how you're feeling. It doesn't keep you calm. So when you're in supportive relationships, they give you that stability, a bit like a physical home, if you like. Okay, so the last benefit is that if you're involved in a community and you're solving problems, and those can be problems that are redundancy based, they can also be problems on a topic that really kind of lights your fire, then it makes you feel like you have a sense of purpose and a bit of self-worth, which is always under attack when you face redundancy. So in summary, by being socially resilient, you feel less alone because you belong to something. You feel like all the noise in your head is not as loud. You feel like you're supported and maybe a bit more stable. So your sloppy cement feels a little bit more set, if you like. And fourthly, you you feel like you have a sense of purpose when all at work is feeling a bit less so. So let's now talk about three tips that help you stay socially resilient. How does social resilience help you build your confidence? So the first thing I would say is stay connected, because the more you isolate yourself, you kind of go down into that spiral of feeling alone, feeling not worthy, all the things, all the negative stories. Because when you're on your own, it's very easy to tell yourself all your negative stories. You've got no one around you who will challenge that story for you, challenge how you're feeling about redundancy. So stay connected. I would say there's two things I would say here that will help you do that. The first thing is stay connected socially. And I know I said at the beginning, the last thing that you feel like is putting a smile on your dial and getting out there and doing small talk, but pick a group of people socially, can be family, friends, colleagues at work, who you can have regular social events with. So schedule them, but you don't have to be, the life and soul of the party. You can just be with them and socially interact, and they'll be okay if you're not the life and soul of the party, but you're still engaging socially. You're not on your own. The second way to stay connected is professionally. So, still be going on LinkedIn, still be attending particular industry events, join professional groups on Facebook, whether it's redundancy based or, as I said earlier, something that kind of lights your fire, just stay connected, stay in conversation. It makes you feel less alone. The second tip I would say is talk to a pro. So for me, when I faced redundancy, I went to talk to recruitment consultants. And the reason I did that was for a number of reasons. One is I understood what the market was doing and therefore what opportunities lay out there, but also what challenges I needed to solve. So it gave me the context. Secondly, I got them to look at my CV and tell me, well, what's good about it, which helps build your confidence. And secondly, what areas either in the presentation or in the content that I was showing that could be improved. And so that helped with give me confidence in terms of going out to, express interest either internally or if you're further down the process, going back out into the market. I felt I had a CV that was match fit. The other good reason for going to talk to a recruitment consultant and identifying gaps in your CV is it also gives you an indication of where you could go and top up your professional expertise. So whether it's in some free sessions or if you have a mentor or coach you can go to, or if there's particular short, sharp professional trainings that you could attend. If you do that, then that also not only kind of boosts your social connections as well, boosts your contacts, opens some doors potentially, but it also boosts your confidence in terms of a particular area of expertise that you might want to boost to just feel more confident in interview or in the next role. Talking to a mentor or coach is really important. So I would say if your employer is offering you EAP or the opportunity to talk to a mentor or coach, take it. They are a safe space where you can be completely who you are, but they're not there just for a sympathy session. They're also there to look at the problem strategically, give you an independent point of view, and help you find a way forward. So they're also great for problem solving. They can also help you understand what is draining your resilience, what is boosting your resilience, and help you look at different strategies to make sure that your tank stays full on an ongoing basis. Because let's face it, when you're facing redundancy, it can be a longer timeline. In the last session, we talked about plotting your real timeline, which can be a lot longer than you think. So how are you going to stay resilient during that time so you're not booming and busting like this, which is really draining? And then my third tip would be take the small wins or start with small wins. And what I mean by that is set yourself even really small, tiny, achievable goals. That can be just going into work and getting into the office and being able to cope with all the office gossip and dynamics that are going on around you. Or it can be, setting up a time to go and see a recruitment consultant or a professional event, whatever it is, whatever tiny step you take, that is progress. Take a moment to celebrate that you've done that, because that will also help boost how you're feeling about yourself and your resilience. Now, those are just 3 tips. There are many, but just to recap, the 3 tips to help rebuild your confidence by being socially resilient are stay connected socially and professionally. Talk to a pro to boost either your CV or your area of expertise, or to unlock opportunities, or to find resilience strategies. And thirdly, take the small wins. Just start with them and take them. Don't set yourself big lofty goals, just take the small ones. It'll help you get through this turbulent time. So today we talked about what social resilience is. Hopefully you've got a better understanding of what social resilience actually means and why it's really important when you're facing redundancy. And lastly, those 3 tips that you can just start implementing to start rebuilding your confidence by actually being socially resilient. If you're really interested in hearing a bit more about that, there is also, if you go into the Facebook chat, you'll obviously see there's a link through to a 7-page information guide called Thriving Through Redundancy and How to Bounce Forward. There's a bit more information on lots of different areas that I've talked about in previous videos. So if you do want a copy of that, it's completely free. just go in and sign up to get that. I hope you find that useful. Next week, I'm going to talk about maybe a slightly more contentious topic, which is how to find your silver lining in redundancy. I can hear you say, what? Silver lining? There can't be silver lining, but there can be silver lining in redundancy. I have found mine. And if you know me, you'll know that I left a uh, big agency GM role in marketing communications, and I set up Turas. And Turas was my silver lining to redundancy. It gave me the gift of time to look at what I could do differently. So next week, I want to talk about that a bit more deeply in terms of, well, how can we change your perspective on redundancy, and how can you potentially look at it differently in a way that it would maybe open your eyes to something different. It might take you in a completely different direction or into uncharted territory. So look after yourselves. Take care. Let me know in the chat if this has been useful for you. Kia kaha.